Jess, how are you doing?
Doing well. Yeah, been looking forward to this since we chatted about it earlier this week. So excited to
Yeah,
jump in together.
just just for context, Jess and I know each other for a pretty long time already, and we're catching up regularly. And earlier this week, we've been catching up as I've been helping Jess debug a certain LiveStore problem. And as I was looking at some of his code, I realized, oh, I have more ideas how we can make this better. And then I realized, okay, this might also actually be useful for others to kind of like follow along. And then I deliberately stopped myself giving just more feedback at that time. And we thought, okay, it would be kind of fun to do this in a live share and recorded session. And
Mhm.
here we are. So this is an experiment. Let's see how this goes, whether this is primarily should be useful for Jess, but hopefully it's also useful for others. And if this format is interesting, then we might do it more again in the future. Uh, Unless Jess's app is perfect after this session, we might do it again on WorkSquared. We might do it on other things as well.
Mhm.
So let's see where we're going. I see a message in the chat. Can't see anything, but it looks like two videos and a screen being shared. Yeah. I guess if you can see the screen share,
I did
that is
just
good.
stop it to see if that made any difference, but
Yeah. Let's see. Maybe if you bring it back.
yep,
Okay. Someone else says I can see everything. Okay. I
cool.
think we're good.
Yeah, I do recognize that the resolution might be a little high. This is going to be, if you're watching this on your mobile phone, it's going to be a little challenging to see what's going on. So you could definitely bump it up a little
Yeah.
bit, that kind of thing.
If you can bump it up slightly,
Sure,
maybe
happy to
someone
do that.
will later watch it on their mobile phone.
Yep.
I do that once in a while. I
Hmm.
like people. I like seeing people work on whatever, but and sometimes I
Hmm.
watch it on my phone. So this is good. I think this is a workable resolution. If someone thinks this is too small, feel free to share.
Hmm.
And yeah, I think Jess has prepared a bit of context. So
Hmm.
maybe you want to give a quick idea what we're going to look at today
Hmm.
for those who saw the last LiveStore office hours. You already presented a bit of what you're doing with WorkSquared, but
Hmm.
maybe you want to briefly recap that as well,
Yeah.
and then sharing maybe a bit of context, what your experience with LiveStore so far. You don't need
Hmm.
to can be the good, the bad, the ugly, and then we're gonna look at some of the latter ones together and see how we can make it good.
Great. Yeah. No, good intro. On my side of things, my experience earlier this week when I finally reached out to Johannes and said, "Hey, I'm having trouble with this thing. I've been stuck on it for like 48 hours." The Johannes basically asked me, "Why didn't you reach out earlier?" And as I thought about the answer to that question, I realized there was about six or seven different things that I was not sure about with WorkSquared and LiveStore. So I made a list of those things and brought that list today. But yeah, for those folks who have not seen the office hours, WorkSquared is basically a an app with AI agents, Kanbans, documents, and things like Teams and that kind of stuff. And the intention is it's a place where agents and humans can work together collaboratively and where they have sort of equal access to the underlying system. So just as much as I can actually come in and let me see, this is my local host. Let me pull up my production instance actually because it has a pretty interesting little example from yesterday. So this is the Build a Better Live Store app event, which we ended up deciding to call like Live Store Hands-On, right? Well, one of the first things I did was actually ask an AI to help me plan the project for it, just so I just didn't forget things that oh yeah, you should probably tweet about it, or you should probably have a follow-up email, or you should set up a Luma page, that kind of thing. And it created all of these events or these tasks for me And as those tasks were being created, I was able to come in and move them around on the task board as things are happening, kind of fill things out, like saying, "Hey, I tested it; it's working great." Um, and so you have this basically this environment where things are happening that the AI is doing that you can see, and because they're firing off LiveStore events, and the user can do those things, work in that space at the same time. And LiveStore really shines in this situation, at least in my opinion. I started working on this about 3 months ago. If you're curious to look at the code and want to go dig around how it's implemented, you can go to worksquared.ai, and from there's a link to the GitHub repository. And so yeah, I think this has been a few months now of working on it. Quite a few closed PRs, 150 or so closed PRs. So we've built a pretty robust system. But as I was saying, it's a really great environment for LiveStore. And the vision always for me with LiveStore and WorkSquared was that any event that you can send in LiveStore, which that's how database mutations happen, right? That's how you mutate the data in LiveStore, is sending events. Any event that you can send as a user by clicking on a button, by putting something in a text box and hitting submit, an agent also has a tool that wraps that event. And similarly, any query that you can initiate as a user, like list all of the tasks that are in this status, the agent also has a tool that wraps that query, right? And so you have this environment that is they're literally, the agent and the user are literally on equal footing, which is kind of fun.
Yeah. What
Um,
very funny and timely context on this is just before we're doing this recording and the stream now, I was noodling on the LiveStore MCP server, which kind of looks at this from like a kind of more like in a similar way, but more general purpose, where I want to enable like having you while you work on your app, that you just like as you're using Cloud Code or Codex or something, and maybe you want to test this. Maybe you're looking at your app
mm,
as it is right now, but maybe it's empty, and you want to like simulate. Okay, let's simulate we're like building a treehouse, and we want to like let's simulate like day
right.
20. And then you just write that, and then the agent connects to it, and here takes the different role of like it actually generates the data, but you could now also like use it from a different perspective and say, actually like let's connect to the current system, and you can
Mm-hmm.
run some queries against. Like you can like as in human language, you can ask like, okay, how many nails have we used for the treehouse or something. And it's a very similar theme that was literally just
Yeah.
working on, just from like a different angle. So I'm already in the right mind space.
That's great. Yeah, and in fact, that was kind of as I was starting to build this out, I definitely did the silly manual thing of just wrap every single live store event, every single query in a separate tool call. But the vision for me all along was there's got to be a general solution to this where we could introspect the set of live store events and queries and then generate the tools that then the agent can use, instead of having these two things be, I have to write separate
Yeah.
code for it.
I'm sure we're gonna like evolve this quite a bit over
Yep,
the coming weeks and months, and like let's see what software even is in a few years.
no
But I
kidding.
enjoyed the ride. But before we get too philosophical here, let's get back into the nitty gritty in your code. Since you've prepared, so thanks for sharing all of this context. So you've prepared a couple of things that maybe been bothering you, or that you've been not
Hmm.
sure, like, hey, is this the best way to do it or not? So let's see what you have here, and then let's see how far we get in the next 45 minutes or so.
That sounds great. Yeah, I definitely, before we get to that big vision, there's a lot of very obvious things that are wrong with Work Squared about the way that I'm using LiveStore. Like some of them I'm aware of and I've like punted down the road, and I'm like, I don't actually have to solve that right now, but I should not be doing it that way. And some I don't even know.
Right.
And Johannes is like looking at him and going, "Oh, that's just yeah, you should be doing it differently."
But
Um,
it's
mhm,
interesting, right? So like those sort of pattern, like you figure once you figure out for yourself, like something doesn't work at all, like you do it once and then you repeat the same pattern again for like in other places. Or maybe it's not even you figuring out this pattern, like an AI figures
mhm.
out this pattern, and then AI is for sure gonna repeat the same pattern over and over again.
That's
And
exactly
so
right.
if it's
Yeah.
just if it's right, then it's great. If it's wrong, it's kind of like the damage gets like multiplied every time. And I think this is why it's worthwhile like looking into this and kind of like aligning your system. But it's also really valuable for me, like seeing where patterns, kind of like bad patterns, emerge,
Mhm.
so I can like steer against them with like better docs, better agent MD files, etc. So I'm thinking about this all as a big feedback loop. So
Mhm.
I'm looking forward to seeing what I can learn here.
All right. Well, we can start with some. I'll talk through these things real quick, and I'll let you kind of say where you want to start because some of these are really big, like multiple sessions big. Some of
Cool.
them are
Yeah.
so small we could probably do in 5 minutes, and are
Right.
so
Yeah.
we'll have to like balance those things. So one of the things that has been kind of a pain point in the software right now is that I do use async software engineering agents to like build most of the software.
Hmm.
So I write plan docs with the agent. So it's kind of spec driven development. If you've been reading
Yep.
about that online, you can actually go see through the like closed PRs all the previous specs, all the things I've worked on. There's this docs plans directory.
Right.
Um, a really important thing for spec driven development, which you know really well, Johannes, is having solid tests
Yep.
so that the agent can know whether it's actually broken anything in the process of building this feature or whether it's actually satisfied the requirements of the feature. Um, Currently, my storybook tests, I've had trouble getting them set up with LiveStore. Of like so I've basically written storybook tests at the level of like dumb components
Hmm.
that don't have any LiveStore queries in them at all. They're simply
Right.
like view components or whatever that fancy term for
Yep.
them is in React, where they're pure functional or whatever it is. And instead, I've had these like wrapper components that like do the data fetching and then pass in via props to the dumb components. And those are the only things I have storybook tests for. But I'd
Right.
love to have storybook tests that are actually interactive, that
Yep.
actually. And I saw the other day in the docs that like, oh, this is possible. How do so
Yeah,
yeah, that would be
definitely.
one thing.
I won't. I'll stop myself from reacting to each one, and we'll do that in a
Okay,
moment.
sounds good.
But one
Another
meta
thing that
comment is like whoever is watching this, I
yeah.
think it's just you just are like like it's one thing that you're using LiveStore, which is interesting, but just like your methodology of like leaning heavily into agentic programming, etc. I think that itself is just like worthwhile studying in this code base. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty sure that's going to be very interesting for folks. So yeah,
Yeah.
won't stop you further.
Yeah. So making commit calls asynchronous, we noticed some of these the other day while we were talking. That's probably happening in lots of places where I'm not actually taking advantage of something that you and I have chatted about previously, that LiveStore was architected in order to enable synchronous calls without blocking the main thread kind of thing.
Yep.
So I don't know that I'm actually taking advantage of that. Slash, I don't know that Claude Code is taking advantage of that. We should find out. Um, Application initialization. So this is what we worked on earlier this week, Johannes. We're basically when I bring up two different versions of the application, I have a 5 second delay while I let events hydrate. I shouldn't say versions. When I bring up two clients that are connecting to the same sync server,
Yep.
there's already some events that are present on that sync server, but there's also an application initialization phase that each client goes through when it detects that it's like a new WorkSquared instance. So the pattern here of what to do right now, the pattern is wait 5 seconds, get all the events, and that way you don't duplicate send like initialization events because this WorkSquared instance has already been initialized.
Right.
Probably a better pattern here. We could continue working on that if we wanted to. And then the last two I moved to the bottom because they're both pretty big. This arguably the this is side effects and once and only once execution. Right now in WorkSquared, when you send a chat message to an LLM, or to a worker, it fires off a call to an LLM. Obviously, that is in event terminology. That's a side effect. You don't want to when you replay through the events, you don't want to fire off that event
Yeah.
again to the and so I can show what my solution is to that right now. I don't think it's super robust, um, but I have some other instances where I need to handle side effects already, and I'm
Right.
going exactly what you just said, Johannes. There's a pattern now, but if it's the wrong pattern, it's going to get duplicated over and over again throughout my architecture, and I'm not sure that's what I want. And then finally, the last one is actually kind of a preview of 040, which is coming out on LiveStore in the next few weeks or so, which is that I'm using the node adapter, the LiveStore node adapter, to run a backend server that handles my LLM calls. There's a new way to do this with a Cloudflare adapter and using Cloudflare workers. So, uh,
That sounds great. We just got a quick question here that the screencast text might be a bit blurry, but I think it's actually for me it's okay. I think it's mostly like a network thing, and there's going to be a high resolution recording online soon. So maybe we just want to bump up the screen
yeah,
size one more time on both maybe.
yeah,
This
I can do
way,
that.
it's might be a better chance. But yeah, those sound great. And like you said, some of them are like some of them might be like very applicable and easy to knock out in
Mhm.
a few minutes. But some other ones might also just be like generally tricky architectural things, and some might even not have a perfect solution at all, regardless of the technologies. So like the once and only once execution, that is notoriously a hard problem that very few technologies like Kafka, etc. There's big technologies that have tried to provide a good answer to this, and I think there's going to be some trade-offs, and we need to figure out like which trade-offs are workable for your particular application. The same thing for like the initialization, etc. So we all, I think the purpose of this a session like this is kind of like to talk about the trade-offs of your
Mhm.
application and then figure out like what are good options here for applying like certain patterns. So
Cool.
let's try to maybe we'll try to take a stab at each. At least if we just talk about it slightly,
Mhm.
maybe we can actually get some of them done right away,
Mhm.
and that we can at least high level talk about some of those. So maybe the first one, so fix storybook tests to work with LiveStore. Can you
Yeah,
pull open the LiveStore docs?
sure
And
can.
since
Yeah.
I am trying to like for the first few years of LiveStore, there were no docs at all, and I did not feel ashamed at all because I was struggling enough making the thing work. But by now there are tests. Actually, maybe you want to use the opportunity to like go to the dev version of the docs. So you
Mhm.
see here on the is this somewhere here already? No, just prepend a dev dot to the URL. Oh, there we
Yeah,
go.
you can.
Perfect. You got
There is
it.
a little picker as well. It wasn't showing up because it was white, but yeah,
Ah,
there
okay.
is a
Yes,
picker. Yeah.
exactly. So this is the current dev version, which will
Mhm.
point to currently like 0.4.
Mhm.
One thing about this already for the search is like you see here, search powered by Mixspread. So the search is actually going to be much better now. So
Mhm.
the fact that you now found what you were looking for, I'm excited for this. Before, like you might have just like ended up like in some useless keyword, but now you found the thing.
Mhm.
So I'm
Yeah.
excited about this. Also, a quick little shout out here, like the top right, you see copy page now.
Oh,
So
thank
I added
goodness.
this today. Maybe this
I
is
have needed this
useful.
so many times. I ended up doing like, just grab the HTML, but that's not a great representation. So
Yes.
yeah, this is
So
cool. Oh, and views markdown. Heck yeah.
I'm glad this worked.
Ooh, and you have all the code snippets now. When I was looking at the stuff on Markdown, it had references to the code snippets.
Yes.
I couldn't
Uh,
find like a version that was Markdown that also had the code snippets, so thank you.
yeah, it's getting there, one step at a time. So I've been using this myself in
Hmm.
another project, and I struggled with this as well. Like I basically asked at that time, still using Claude to like just wire up LiveStore with Storybook, and it
Hmm.
had a hard time. And like whenever something is not easy with LiveStore, I see it as an opportunity for myself or as a
Hmm.
challenge for myself to that the next time this is being tried, it's going to be a lot better. And in this
Hmm.
case, the thing that hopefully helps you are those docs, but maybe we need to see whether we can do even better. So the first question is, well, we need to figure out like what do we even want?
Right.
Since there are a few trade-offs here. So when you have a storybook instance, do you want that like how stateful or stateless
Hmm.
do you want that thing to be? So
So,
like
yeah.
realistically, like when you have like your actual WorkSquared app
Hmm.
open, like one big value add of LiveStore is that it's stateful, right? So you reload the page and everything is still there. So that's like
Hmm.
one big question that you now need to ask yourself about the storybook. Do you want that thing to be persistent or not? How stateless or
Hmm.
stateful do you want it to be? And that decision kind of already influences whether you use the in-memory adapter or the persistent
Hmm.
adapter.
Gotcha. That's a good question. I think my thinking on this is less that I want full interactive storybooks, but more that I want to recreate a specific state using
Right.
LiveStore events, right? So probably the in-memory adapter would be sufficient. So here's a good example. The chat presenter that we've already looked at a little bit in that chat sidebar. Um, I would like to be able to put the thing in the situation where there have been several messages exchanged and
Yes.
possibly also the assistant is actively working on the conversation. The reason why, for those who are like wondering why I'm saying that versus other options, is because in using agents for software development, um, they're not actually very good at UI yet. Um, and this comes partly from the vision models aren't quite sharp enough on kind of seeing exactly what's being represented in a mockup and then translating that into a design that exactly matches that pixel for pixel. You can almost think of like the agents like looking through two Coke bottles at your UI. And so everything's kind of blurry and it can kind of tell that there's like a header at the top, but it cannot see that one pixel gray, zero, pound 333 border that's at the bottom of the header. So it's not going to get that right. And
Yep.
so it's very helpful to have like storybook tests and that kind of stuff that represent different states of your UI that you can go verify and do the kind of pixel
Yep.
level tweaking that you need to, because the agent's not going to get that. But having
Yep.
agents generate storybook tests, they're actually
Exactly.
excellent
Yep.
at that. Um,
Exactly. And I think this is kind of like what it currently means to be good at agentic programming is figuring out like what is the thing good at, what not, and then thinking of novel ways of like figuring out what are you too lazy for, but that would be actually very awesome, and the thing that agent is actually really good at.
mhm.
So let's see whether do you still recall what you've tried and what did not work?
It's been literally, I tried several months ago to set it up. And then from that point forward, just left it, kind of going down this path. Now, Claude tried several times to set it up over the last few months without me asking it. Like it would
Yeah.
create a component that was stateful that had LiveStore queries as part of it or transmitted LiveStore events or that kind of thing. And I would have to tell Claude, like, no, 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 no. Just write a story for the dumb component, like, follow this pattern. I think it's even in my Claude MD, but it hasn't
Right.
been like
Oh, okay. Let's maybe revisit this in a moment, but I would
yeah,
suggest let's try to without even reading the docs. Let's just try to like go about it kind of intuitively, and
yeah.
I'll lend you my intuition here, which is probably obviously a lot more refined on
Hmm.
LiveStore, more trained on LiveStore than than the average user. But the first thing I would do is basically we want to wrap the entire thing in a live store provider so
I was thinking the same thing.
that we have a live store thing. So there's now with Storybook there's a few options. And so let's go kind of bottom up. I'll describe the two options. So either we say like, hey, we always want a LiveStore instance no matter what, and we always want the same one. So we could already like in this, I think it's like in the preview TSX, we could basically, I think they call it the decorator. We could like
Yeah, say
just
this
wrap it here.
decorator is
Yeah,
always
this would
here.
be exactly the, oh, and look at this. There's like a comment. So we could provide the LiveStore instance here. And so this might be maybe what we want. We could also directly where you have the story,
Yep.
we could also provide it there. And the difference might be how much is it always the same, or how much do you always want to like modify it? I would
Right.
suggest we put it first here. This way we can do what specific stuff we want, and then we can refactor it and make it more abstract.
For sure, we should do that. Both because I already have a pattern where I have like dumb components, and I would like those to remain dumb and not incur
Perfect.
any of the
Yeah.
LiveStore cost for slowing down those stories.
Right.
And secondarily, I also have an entire admin and auth interface where there is no LiveStore.
Okay.
So my admin and auth is
Perfect.
so having a
Okay.
single presenter at the top level wouldn't make
Right.
sense.
I mean, then let's just wrap the story here in a LiveStore provider.
Okay.
And just then by doing that, like this thing is gonna tell us like what it needs to be happy. So it seems to need a schema.
All right. Let's
So
see.
what do you want? Okay, wow, okay. So we need a schema, we need an adapter, and this batch updates thing. Let's start with your schema.
Okay. The schema is in shared. Let's see. So I'm going to have to pull it in schema. No. I don't think it's a make schema call, right? That doesn't seem like the
Well,
right
you already have your
completion.
one defined. I would undo that. Like if you go down to line 25 or now 26, and you just like click on the refactor thing here, or like trigger the import. I have it on command dot, but it might be whatever. Like if you go to schema and like basically,
Yeah, command dot.
yeah.
Oh,
There
yeah,
you go.
yeah.
Cool.
That's, yeah,
So
there we go.
so that's already good. Then the next thing is an adapter. That is what we now need to define. You probably don't have that yet, but
Yeah.
that should be straightforward. So let's just we can consider where we want to scope this, but for now we just do it here. And so we're not going to do that. We're not going to use the make persisted one, but we say make in memory adapter. Okay. So, and this needs way less stuff. I don't think it actually needs anything. You can just like remove all the, yes. Yeah. Okay. And that's it. So batch updates, this is what we're going to import from React. Yeah, this
Oh,
sounds
yeah.
good.
Import.
Perfect. Okay. And voila. Okay. We have stuff not failing. So that is good.
Yeah, that is good.
So
let's go see how these stories are structured. So like, let's see, let's start with conversations, because this is empty. So this would be like no state.
Okay.
With conversations would have no, it basically is going to be the simplest thing, because there would be two conversation objects that have been created at that point.
Okay. So let's now we basically just
all these mocks.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, let's switch this out one at a time. Let's focus in on one of those, and in our wherever you have like your mock component or something, we just gonna use a query now.
Okay.
So do that.
Yeah.
I guess you
I'm gonna have to
best.
add that import from. That's not the right place. It's going to come from the same place as schema, basically.
Right.
Maybe
you have not. You might have not exported it.
No, I've definitely exported it, but it's not in. Let's see. Oh, okay, yeah. I export them independently. I don't export the entire thing. Yeah, that makes sense.
I mean, what I tend to do there is basically use a wildcard import and say like, well, import star as queries.
Let's go see what I'm exporting from this library. Oops. All right. I think, yeah, I'm exporting each thing independently. I could do an import star, right? And that would grab all of
Yeah,
these queries.
yeah. I mean, we can refactor it later. Let's just
Okay.
get to the thing now. Yeah, I think you forgot the dollar at the end.
Mm-hmm.
So, and for those confused about
Yeah.
what this dollar thingy means, that's basically when you have a LiveStore query, that thing is like live. And so this is just like a convention that you know, like, hey, this
Mm-hmm.
thing is kind of like wired up, and I can now
Feels very
query it.
Svelte-like. Of like we use a
Exactly.
special
Yeah.
character to indicate that this thing is a
N-
live variable.
not that you need it.
Mhm.
It's just a convention, but there you go. Since like a query can depend on other queries, similar to how React component can be composed and so on. Cool. So yeah, I guess
Oh, it's called Get Conversations. I don't know why I thought there was something called Get All Conversations.
okay.
Up down
Let's
there. There we
jump
go.
over there.
Okay.
All right. So let's see. Now we have some error. Let's see what might be happening here.
Doesn't like to use query as a hook here.
Okay, yeah, this makes sense. You need to use a query, obviously, like a hook in there. There's nothing LiveStore specific about this. This is
Mm-hmm.
just you should use a hook within a component. So what we could
Mm,
do now, like basically, how are you constructing that component? We might need a little indirection here, basically.
mm-hmm. Yeah, let's go look. See, so our component, it's going to be the chat presenter component.
Yeah, let's look into this one. So this one gets the conversations directly. Okay, so here's what we could do.
Mm, mm-hmm,
Yeah, this is fine. So let's just introduce a little indirection,
mm-hmm,
which is basically where we have this story where we have the decorator for the
mm-hmm.
story further
Okay.
up.
You
We
want the
will
top level one that has all of
yeah.
them, basically?
So here we would basically just introduce like a little wrapper thing. We can
Mm-hmm.
clean it up not later, but maybe at line 43 or something, you just want to say wrapper.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, I think, yeah. Okay, do that. Okay. And well, not quite. The LiveStore provider needs to be outside. But yeah,
Oh, yeah.
we're gonna do that. And here, ba, 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 that's not quite ideal yet.
We want to pass
So
in to the child component, right? The conversations,
that's right.
the story, effectively.
Yeah, that's right. Let's see. There, I think there's a
I don't think we
specific
need this.
storybooky way to do that. It's been a while
I'm
since
wondering if we can just do this.
yeah, this might be workable.
Cursor's getting happy with it. Let's see. So
You know what?
storage equal.
I'll quickly.
Oh, because they have the story here as which is passed into the
Yeah,
decorator.
there's like some
Oh,
like indirection type
interesting.
safe things happening. I'll quickly take a look at one of my projects. It's always one of those situations uh,
Yeah.
where I'm copy pasting from like a previous approach where I had to do the same thing.
Yep. That's what I'm
Give
hoping. Get the pattern working once, and then we can have it working everywhere.
Yes,
Um,
that's always the same. So test component. Ba, 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 ba. I am finding something.
it's not that I want the story here. I think I'm going to pass
Okay.
in. Yeah, well, I'll let you tell me what the pattern is rather than guessing. It's fun to guess.
So, um, I had something like this where I will send it in the chat. This way, everyone has the same
Sweet.
same information. So there's that. So I basically have this little like define story
Mm-hmm.
helper, and in there then I have this test component. Yeah, this test component.
Mm-hmm.
And in there, yeah, basically, you can you can use like your story thing right away. So further up, we're chat presenter. There you go. And yeah, let's see how if we're getting
Yeah, how
this
do you
in
integrate it into the...
one second. Oh, I'm
Gotcha. So this takes the story's
so
existing arguments
yeah,
and
what I've
spreads them
done
on
is
overriding the conversation
where you're
one was
doing
points
the
about.
export default meta.
Mm-hmm.
I'm
Right here.
basically, instead of exporting the component as such, I
Mm-hmm.
now export our wrapper component.
Oh, interesting.
So I think maybe this is a terrible storybook pattern or not. I need to brush up on my storybook. Not like that. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Like keep it like this, but where you define meta further up, up. So line 21. This is where you would basically not have chat presenter,
Ah,
but
okay.
here you would have like we would need like a separate, we would need a separate component somewhere for the,
Mm-hmm.
let's call it like chat presenter uh, helper. You need to define it further up, otherwise the scoping won't work.
Oh, yeah, 'cause scoping. Gotcha.
Okay, so it needs to be uppercase, otherwise React is unhappy.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, it knew it. Okay. So I think this should be pretty good. Yeah, I think this
So
one
we're
we
not
might
using
not even.
define story?
This was like a TypeScripty helper, but I think we don't even need it. I'm sorry
Okay.
for that
No
confusion.
worries.
If we're
Okay, so this
now,
guy, if I'm reading this right, this is going to instantiate a new component. Into that component, I can pass in all of the normal props that I can pass into the chat presenter.
that's
I
right.
can grab the conversations here using the live story use query hook,
Yep,
and then I can pass in the... Okay, so then I'm spreading the props over the chat presenter and then overriding this one specific one
that's
of
right.
conversation.
So if
Okay.
you're reloading Storybook now, let's see whether
Yeah.
it is happy. It is not yet happy. Okay, let's see what it's not yet happy about.
See.
It wants use context.
Interesting.
Are we doing anything bad about React?
I was looking at that and I'm pretty sure chat presenter is like a fairly dumb component. It doesn't have any hooks. I mean, you can see the imports right up here.
So can you pop
Um,
open the console?
mhm.
It might be. Well, there. Can you make it bigger?
Yeah. Yes. That is tiny. Storybook
Uh,
internals. So it's in the
let's see.
stories. Maybe there's... What hooks do I have in here? And we have that one use query.
So one thing.
Oh, wait.
Oh,
Here,
okay,
here's the
okay.
problem. Here's the problem. We changed this
Yeah,
to
can you
be...
just, I
What
mean, make
should
it
this
an empty
be?
array. We override it anyway, no?
Oh, yeah, that's a good call. Okay.
Okay.
There we
There you go.
go. Nice.
Alrighty. All right.
All right. And there are
As
no
per
conversations,
usual,
which
there's
makes
like the
sense.
problem you want to solve, and you spend 90% on another thing. Uh,
The setup to solve the problem.
okay. So let's see. Now we get to the interesting part, which is
Mhm.
like, okay, this is empty. we're getting the empty
Yeah.
state out of LiveStore, which is great.
Mm-hmm.
But now we want to like manipulate it and make it not empty. And the way how we do it in LiveStore is through events, right?
Mm-hmm.
So now let's get to there's a few different ways how we could do that. So we could now let's actually try that. Not that this is what we want to do here, but if you go to our wrapper to our helper component for the app,
Mm-hmm.
we're gonna in there we're gonna say use store. So we're gonna get the store.
In our helper
Yep,
component, we'll get the
here.
store. Okay. Const store equals use store.
Yep, that's right. That's right.
Great.
And yeah, you need to destructure it. Yeah. In line
Wait.
20, you need to unwrap it.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm hitting tab to like move
Oh,
it
that
over,
works as
and
well.
it's tab completing for me.
Okay, and so what we're gonna do now is basically just as a one-off, as a React use effect.
Mhm.
We just gonna do that, and we just do it once. So that we don't. So
That is
here
the once,
cursor
right?
isn't quite trained yet on this automatically. So we gotta say store.commit. And then, well, that's just the usual LiveStore API. And now we need
Hmm.
to import our events. So probably
Hmm.
wherever you have the schema, you probably export the events as well.
Hmm.
So I
Yeah.
think in line 6 or so.
Yeah, which I can probably just put it in here.
Yep.
And
And now we're gonna do in here store get rid of the array, and you can just say events dot. Okay, and now we
create
do the thing. That's
conversation created.
uh,
Great.
Cursor's already eager of helping you. There you go.
Mm-hmm.
So
All right.
updated at
Why is that? I was going to
does
say,
not
yeah,
exist. Okay.
yeah, processing state is correct, but it's not idle. Uh, created.
Oh,
Oh,
there
I
is
don't
the
have it as
last
part of the
message.
event. That's right. Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Well, there is a processing state, but it's not part of
Cool.
the event. Yeah,
Okay.
there we go. Test.
There you go. So we have something in there. So this was just to illustrate that we can just do like normal LiveStore Venti things
Mm-hmm.
in here. But what would be more useful is like if you comment this out again, like the
Yep.
store and use effect.
Mm-hmm.
And so what we want to do it is like do it actually before the thing has booted. So if you
Mm-hmm.
scroll down a little bit where we are doing the LiveStore provider thing,
Mm-hmm.
so in there in line 54, I think it was.
Mm-hmm.
So in there, there's another option we can pass in
Ah, okay.
called I think boot store or something. Boot maybe, yeah, boot. And so here you can so you're gonna get the store, and now you can do stuff with it. So the thing that we've done before
Mm.
in the use
Mm-hmm.
effect, we can do here directly, and we can do it as a synchronous call. We can do an async
Mm-hmm.
call. We can do an effect thing here.
Could we just call
And
that
so
call a function basically that says like do the
exactly,
setup? Yeah.
exactly, yeah. And so you can for now, yeah, we could do that. So let's see. Sorry. Well, yeah, you're not gonna say use store. We're not in a React context. Yeah, you need
Mm-hmm.
to pass in the store directly.
Mm-hmm. But how do I
Um,
pass that in
oh,
from
it's gonna that's the natural argument already. So this is good. Yeah,
cool?
I mean, we just gotta yeah do that. I mean, it's not the there
That's
is
not
a
right.
proper
Yeah.
type you can import, but it's gonna TypeScript is not happy yet, but like it's valid JavaScript, so we're good. Um,
Mm-hmm.
let's do the type properly. So like do
Mm-hmm.
wrap it in parentheses, and then we just gonna say yeah this is
It's close.
fine.
Not quite.
Yeah. You can just say store and then you don't need to get all the type parameters correct. You can for now just say store any um,
Oh, okay.
or like that. I think that's fine.
Okay.
Um, And
It
so
seems to
now
satisfy
this
TypeScript. Yeah.
this the thing that always tips the that always trips up the agent with LiveStore.
Hmm.
It cannot
Hmm.
comprehend that LiveStore is synchronous, so you can drop the await, which I
Oh
mean
yeah.
it doesn't cause any harm here, or not big harm, but and you can also drop the async.
Async here.
We
Yeah.
don't need it here. We
Yeah.
could have it if we wanted,
Hmm.
but so now we can, like, this is should be identical, except we are not doing the read render.
Mm,
So we
interesting.
should
Okay,
see
that's cool.
we should see the exact same thing. So are we,
Yeah,
if
we
we
do.
have the
Yeah.
same okay, perfect.
Hmm.
And yeah, so with this pattern, you can basically replicate what you
Hmm.
the setup that you want. So we could now
So
take this
then,
further, but
mhm.
yeah, I think we got the basic idea
Well,
running here.
the question I have is, this sets it up for the entire state. The pattern I'm looking for to complement that is setting it up in with conversations as well with a
Yes.
specific state for one story. Um,
Right. And this is where, like, my define story helper could, for example,
mhm.
come in, where you, but I mean, at this point, it's like nothing's live story specific anymore. It is basically just like, how do you break up, how do you abstract things that you,
Right.
that you do it in the right way? Basic
So the
semantically, what you want to do is you want to find a place where you can list the events
mhm,
in here with your story, and then you pull out the events, put it into the store provider boot function correctly.
mhm,
And so we'd basically just need to wire that up. In the interest of time, we've been
mhm,
spending quite a bit of time on this already, but glad
mhm.
we got it to work. I think you can now take this further, but maybe we can take a look at your master plan, MD,
Yeah.
and see whether we can already shed some light on some of those other ones.
Yeah, absolutely. And then like just for folks like what I'm going to do after this recording is I'm actually going to go through and finish this one example, and then I'm going to have Claude write a story to go through all of the other stories where I have mock stuff, and like prepare a plan for converting all of the other storybook stories to match this pattern.
Yep.
So once I've done that, and
And
then I can like let it run and see that it succeeds. So
and to, like, this is Claude's gonna or Codex not gonna have any problems, I think, making it now like dynamic.
yeah.
So I think we've laid the foundation, and
Hmm.
I hope there wasn't anything tricky about that one now.
No.
Cool. Let's see. I see. Let me just check whether there's like some questions. Okay, no, we're good.
Mhm.
Okay, next one. Make commit calls synchronous. Do you have any particular, like, is there any problem you have in mind here? Or when you've written this down, what were your thoughts?
It was, I think we were looking at maybe some of the setup code where we set the settings for an initial live WorkSquared instance when it boots up, and you were pointing out over my shoulder that you don't need that await there. You could just
Right.
make it, synchronous. Yeah, I think the other place where this is slightly more complicated, and I think it's related to a bug in either a recently fixed or still outstanding bug in the node adapter, where if you do a commit inside of a query. I can't remember what it is.
Yeah, I think this should be fixed now.
Okay, gotcha.
Uh,
So I was having to do an await and make it
yeah.
asynchronous in
Yeah, I
order to
think that should
avoid a
be
break.
that was a funny one to fix, but that should be fixed now.
Sweet.
Given
But
that
yeah, in
you're on
general,
the latest dev version.
I need to
Yeah.
remove await. I'm not seeing any like issues with it. I don't have any performance issues or anything with LiveStore in WorkSquared right now. So
So I mean, it's just interesting to linger on that for
yeah.
a brief moment. This is something that was really, like, for me, part of the entire, like, creation thesis of LiveStore, or Riffle as it was called before, was, hey, how can we make state management simpler? And that simplicity is like synchronous code is simpler than asynchronous code. With asynchronous code, you never quite know, like, hey, is that thing like already done or not? With synchronous code, it's like boop, 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 boop. And like there's no question. There's like no interruption, whatever. Like it's very predictable. And I want that to also be the case for my state management. And most state management things are either like only like local confined to one thread, and are not like synchronizing, are not persisting, etc. Or they're asynchronous, but you cannot have both. And with LiveStore, I'm fighting hard that you can have both to a degree. The degree here is that you can basically say, "Hey, I can commit it, and like I know in this thread I won't run into trouble. Like I can carry on. I don't obviously if it's a synchronous call, like I don't know what happens on like my synced device, like on my synced
Hmm.
phone, where the same thing is running. I don't like magically can trust that now by advancing through a synchronous call that that phone has like the same state now as well. But I can trust that my entire system here has like transactionally the same state. And in case there's a problem, we're like all in a clear principled way, like rolling back. But
Hmm.
that greatly simplifies the system here. So that's the major thing. But the next one is like if you do a lot of calls, let's say you're not just committing one event, but like me building Overtone, for example, there are cases where you initially import your library. And that might be hundreds of thousands of tracks or millions of tracks. And then you basically, each of those is a commit. And now you're really like it's a matter of like, hey, does this entire import thing, how many seconds, minutes does it take? And this is where things really add up. And this is where you just want to at some point open like that you have it in your browser on the left. You have like the performance
Hmm.
tab in the DevTools, right? Like
Hmm.
at some point when you do a lot of stuff, like you click that record button, and then you see like, okay, where am I spending time? And there everything
Hmm.
matters. And this is where like if you have it synchronous, that's way faster. Like there is like some overhead just from like the
Hmm.
like async ticks, etc. We're gonna go into minute detail now to like really get to the bottom of this, which we won't do now. But this is
Hmm.
just those are all not accidental, but very hard intentional things that I've been
Hmm.
working on in the details, in the internals. So what you as an application developer get is a simple API. So for you now that means basically you can just drop all of those awaits in front of the commits, and
Hmm.
also in case you're not, it's like I suppose you're mostly querying the database through the React use query call,
Hmm.
but you can also use the store directly by running queries directly against the store without React.
Right.
And this is also where you can query it synchronously, and you don't
Hmm.
need that await.
Yeah, so I'm definitely doing some queries. Like, for example, here's a good example. This is a tool call on the server where
There you
it's
go. Yeah.
getting contacts, right? And we have this
And
await here.
yeah, and you
Um,
see even here, like await has no effect on this type of expression. So TypeScript is already helping
oh,
you.
could I add some lint warnings to my ESLint config so that Claude Code sees all of these
Probably.
and cleans them
Yeah,
up?
probably.
That's
Yes,
I'm gonna make a note of that here, and that could be a great way to clean it up globally. Of
exactly. Again,
add
like
a.
nothing LiveStore specific here.
Mm-hmm.
This is like if a call is can be synchronous, you should call it synchronously. Otherwise, this is like if you just call one thing, it doesn't really matter. But if this is in some sort of hot loop, it does matter.
Mm-hmm.
And like in terms of performance, and also in terms of like how simple, like if your code's gonna get complex, then like a wait makes everything even more complex.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, that's a great point. Yeah, and it's, I mean, as you can see, it's everywhere. As I suspected when we talked earlier this
Exactly.
week, I was
This
like,
is like the
oh,
pattern. One, if you go
yeah,
back
yeah,
once,
yeah.
I just
Hmm.
saw like here, I saw something. All contacts you cast it to as any. Uh, why is that? That stands out to
No
me.
idea.
Can
I
if we
do not know.
drop the as any, what's gonna happen? So let's drop the as any and let's drop the await.
Okay.
Okay, if you hover over all contacts, are we still
Hmm.
good? We're still good. I've taught. I'm always putting in my agents or Claude MD file like, hey, there's like you're not getting the privilege of doing any. That's like my privilege, and I use it rarely. So if you force the agent to not use any's, no force casting, whatever, it needs to do a little bit more work, but also like sometimes might struggle, and it might like ask you for help,
Hmm.
but those things are worthwhile since like the problem is usually in those spots and you're thinking like, oh, TypeScript doesn't give me any errors, but you've like forfeit the right to complain about those.
Yeah, no, that's great. I
So keep
definitely,
that stuff clean. That's pays dividend. Like, and Claude always wants to do this. Like if it wants to move on, it's so eager to just like get the job done. And it might like delete all your code in the meanwhile or whatever. But or like delete tests and now the tests are passing. And so you just need to I've personally like switched over to Codex, but this might be already different in 2 weeks, which is
sure.
more
Well,
um,
this is my Claude Code related code, and then this is a tool called Tarragon,
yeah,
um,
which I think is
where I'm
Claude
using
based.
Codex.
Oh, they're supporting Codex now.
They
Cool.
added Codex. Yeah, so these are
There you
actually
go. Yeah,
Codex PRs that I'm working on. Here's GPT-5 Codex
sweet.
High.
Yeah,
So I've started to move over as well to see how Codex does a better job of this. But like you said, like once there is a pattern in the code base, the agent is going to
right.
try to follow that pattern.
Right.
And
And
so
for
if it's
better or for
working,
worse. And
yeah,
like and this is why I think it pays to get your stuff cleaned up. And
yeah,
like I
for
would
sure.
also see it as like this is actually a great opportunity for you
Hmm.
to align your system on like good patterns. This is like almost like from a parenting perspective, like
Hmm.
you're like displaying good behavior and hopefully it gets replicated.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm modeling for the agent. Here's what's important.
Exactly. But you only like in this case, you're actually only gonna do it once, and hopefully it gets carried on forward. Uh,
Absolutely right. Yeah.
if parenting was so easy, huh? But
Boy, no kidding.
um,
Um,
so we went through the first two.
mhm.
There is more, but I think this yeah, this is a good point to probably wrap it up
Yep.
and
And I'll
like
put
do
together, following this recording, I'll put together a pull request that has the fixed storybook tests to work with LiveStore. And I think I mentioned this already, but the source for WorkSquared is available on GitHub, so you can actually go see the work that I and Johannes plus Claude did in this session if you want to look through it yourself. So
That sounds great. And those other ones, I'm really excited to dig in. Like the one about like app initialization should work offline. This is where we're gonna really need to figure out like trade-offs because there
yeah.
is no good answer. Like we should take more time to even explain the problem
Hmm.
to you and me. It's intuitive,
Yeah.
but I think we should take a bit of time to explain it. Then also how to handle side effects.
Man.
That's a really interesting one. Probably worthwhile to just do an entire session in that. Move off from render or like I mean it's not render specific, but it's more like a
Yeah.
long running
Move from the
server
node server
to yeah
adapter to the
exactly. So
Cloudflare
I
adapter.
think honestly like either of those are like a worthy session in itself, which I'd be very happy to
Yeah.
do. And I think with that we can probably wrap it up in time. Thank you so much for lending your beautiful imperfect code base to some pairing.
Absolutely. No, it definitely very helpful to get other sets of eyes on my little baby here. But yeah, thank you, Johannes, for all your work on LiveStore. It's made building WorkSquared a true joy to not have to think about state synchronization and offline and that kind of stuff. And yeah, I know I have moved faster, much faster, because of LiveStore. And yeah, I barely think about it now. I just take it for granted.
Oh,
So thank you.
that is high praise. Thanks so much, and looking forward to the next session. Take care.
All right.